Now, yakuza is the name given to the organised crime syndicates in Japan. Its members are said to follow a strict code of discipline and often sport full-body tattoos. Belonging to a yakuza gang itself is not a crime, but like the Italian mafia or the Chinese triads, the yakuza engage in illegal activities, including drugs, prostitution and gambling. Following a recent crackdown by Japanese authorities, the yakuza have made bold attempts to move into white-collar crime. The biggest and wealthiest yakuza gang, the Yamaguchi-gumi, is said to number nearly 40,000 members. Yakuza expert Jake Adelstein calls them the Goldman Sachs with guns. Now, Jake has the distinction of being the only American who's ever worked on a crime beat for Japan's biggest newspaper. He's also the author of the book Tokyo Vice, and he joins us now from Columbia, Missouri, back in the US after what sounds like a very eventful life in Japan. Jake, let's just start with this, with this line about the yakuza moving from, I guess, traditional industries, for want of a better word, prostitution, vice, drugs, etc., into more white-collar crime. Just how pronounced is this move, and just how successful have they been?
Well, the yakuza have been tremendously successful because they are able to operate out in the open. They have business cards, they have office buildings, people know who they are, they have fan magazines, and they have a lot of money. So, Robert Feldman of Morgan Stanley Japan once called the Yamaguchi-gumi Japan's second largest private equity group. So if you have a lot of money and a lot of information, and you can use blackmail and extortion to do insider trading, it can make you quite a tremendous financial force.
Does it surprise you that they are into Japanese banks to the extent that authorities think they may be?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I've been covering the yakuza since 1994, so I feel like I'm having déjà vu. In 2004, Citibank lost their private banking license because they were allowing yakuza to do many complex transactions with their banks. They got spanked again in 2009 for failing to update their databases and allowing yakuza to do accounts with them again. Mizuho Bank has a very sordid history of paying off the yakuza dating back to 1997. In 2006, one of their compliance officers sold the data of 1,200 customers to a yakuza front company. Mizuho, in particular, has really had yakuza problems.
Jake, I just want to clarify here. Is it, do the bank officials, the banks who are dealing with the yakuza, do they know who they're dealing with, or do they cover their tracks and think that this is a legitimate operation that the bank is dealing with, or is it a case of straight extortion?
Often it's a case of just not doing due diligence. In this particular Mizuho case, there was a car loaning or consumer loan company under their umbrella that didn't do any basic checks on the customers to see if they were yakuza or not. And at the time that most of these loans were conducted, it was still legal to loan money to the yakuza. But I mean, some of the members and some of the people that borrowed money were such famous yakuza that you could plug their name into Yakuza Wiki, which is kind of like the Yakuza Wikipedia in Japan, and come up with the name. So it's kind of amazing that they didn't spot them at the beginning.
You sound like sort of it's quite tangled to find out where their sort of activities become legal and illegal. I just want to know, is it something that the Japanese authorities turn a blind eye to, or why have they been allowed? Why has a yakuza been allowed to flourish like it has?
Because they have a tremendous political connections, and they have a lot of information to blackmail people. I think last year, the Minister of Justice of Japan, who's supposed to be sort of the watchdog of all law enforcement agencies, had to resign because his yakuza ties to the Inagawa Kai, which is the third largest group, were exposed quite blatantly. Also, the Minister of Finance also had to resign, or was sort of allowed to leave office when his ties to the yakuza were reported as well.
So nothing, very, very quickly, nothing you expect will change here?
No, I do expect that there's been so much attention brought to this that the banks will be much more careful about screening their customers, and I think that the police are now offering to share their database with the banks, and that's something the police should have done a long time before.